This is Jessica Dardarian. I am an actress and singer who happens to be on the autism spectrum, and I am here to talk about that you are not alone, that you can be an inspiration to those who are people with disabilities, including autism, and they can succeed in life if they just strive to move forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to. Let me do that again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 169. I'm patching up on some old episodes. I, for some reason, misplaced all the old episodes. Funny enough, I backed everything up. Now it's not there, so I'm doing it over. So this is 169. I'm your host, Keith Andrew. Along here, it's Jessica Dardarian. I just want to say
Dardarian.
I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Yeah.
Now, for people who want to know what my talk show is about, and I don't know why it's echoing, I do apologize. The whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. And to prove to them you can step out to something. So hashtag break the labels. So that being said, half hour of your time. Say anything you want, talk about anything you want. And starting off, I did see that you are an actress and singer. So jumping right into it, who influenced you to become an actress, and who influenced you to become a professional singer?
The ones who really did was Julie Andrews when I saw Mary Poppins when I was a little kid. Who else? Oh God, there's so many people out there in the world that I really like. I love Frank Sinatra. He's one of them.
What about who were some of the people that, who like out of all of them, who would you say was your biggest inspiration? Like say, after you saw this person perform, you said, hands down, I want to follow in his or her footsteps.
Julie Andrews.
Alright.
She's awesome.
What were some of your favorite songs you ever performed, and have you ever performed in front of an audience?
Oh, let me see. It's a hard one to decipher. I would say, I would say Fine Fine Line from Avenue Q is a really good one I've done. Ring Them Bells by Liza with a Z. Liza Minnelli, Judy Garland's daughter.
Alright. What about, let's see, have you ever performed in front of a live audience, or is that on your things to do list?
I've performed to a live audience when I used to do community theater, and then I would do it at karaoke bars.
Alright. What about, have you ever worked with, now my show is about disabilities, have you ever worked with people with learning disabilities and disabilities? And do you think that in your acting career and your singing career, have you ever came across people in that type of work?
I know a few people who I've done acting with that are on the autism spectrum and Asperger's syndrome and bipolar disorder. Same with, depression. It's definitely on the list because I myself have autism.
Now, with that being said, do you think that it dictates how you're going to live your life and your career, or do you think, like I'm saying, break the label? So you going to prove to people you can still mount to something?
I'm definitely breaking the label of being autistic. Some people don't even think I'm autistic because they don't even notice the traits a typical autistic person has.
Alright, for people who don't know what autistic is, can you give us an example where some of the traits?
Autism is, a neurological disorder that can affect the brain and the amygdala. And some good examples of autism can be having like pretty angry meltdowns, you know, fixating on something and not letting it go. Like, I have that all the time. I would fixate on certain things that bother me, and I can't let it go. It's definitely hard.
Now, how do you think that interferes with your career?
Fixation, or the fancy way my psychiatrist would call it, perseveration. Um, how it affects my career is because it can affect me when, it gets into my brain so much and it eats me alive that I don't want to do anything. Sometimes I don't even want to do my acting. I get so depressed.
Alright. Let's see, now the next subject I'm going to ask you, it's about your acting career, is have you ever taken acting classes, and would you recommend them?
I'm currently taking an acting class, Brian Cutler Actors Studio in Burbank, California. He's amazing. The owner is Brian Cutler. He's been on I Love Lucy, Mork and Mindy, the Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno Hulk. He's amazing. I mean, this guy knows his craft. We do cold reading, commercial, voiceover, and we do it in front of a camera, and we can critique ourselves on how we can do better being a good film actor or doing good in the voiceover world.
No, I agree with you. And now the next question I was going to ask you is let's see, trying to find something good to ask.
Okay.
Now, with the whole, going back to the disabilities, do you think, actually, we can get to that in a minute. How did you get your start in front of the camera? Were you like an extra? Were you like a lead in role? Were you supporting a role? What do you prefer to actually be doing?
Let's see. So when I first went to LA, I started doing some extra work, being a background on the camera with this company called Central Casting, which has been around since 1925. Well, since I am still non-union, some of the non-union people that are as background, they can be mistreated by crew, and the people who are in SAG-AFTRA get treated better than those who are non-union. And sometimes I really don't like that. And sometimes the crew don't know what the hell they're doing. So I prefer, doing like lead supporting day player roles.
Actually, you do bring up a very interesting point about what's the difference between being union and non-union. That's my first question. What is the difference? And also, would you recommend working with SAG Extra, or do you think being non-union is better because you have more freedom?
Well, I do want to join SAG-AFTRA when I can. It's a wonderful union, and they can help you all your life. But right now, when I'm trying to, build up my resume and reel, I want to stay non-union because you get more work when you're non-union than you are SAG-AFTRA, because there's not a lot of SAG-AFTRA work, unfortunately.
Yeah, the reason I asked what's the difference is because recently, on Woodbury Commons, where I'm from, no, in New York, it's in the Woodbury Commons, so it's on my break. And even before I started my job, so it's something like, one day I was on my break, one day it was before the job, I started over doing filming. And if you know me, if I see an opportunity, I'm going to jump right at it. Like a dog with a bone. I'm gonna go right after it. And I was like, oh, what are you guys doing? Are you going to come also? And I said, yeah, you guys probably think this is really stupid, but what are the odds of me being part of it? And he's like, well, do you have any acting experience? I said, no. Are you a SAG extra? I said, no. And it's like, well, we only work with SAG extra. And it's like, well, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I'm an upcoming talk show host, and I have a learning disability. And then it's like he looked at me like I was making it up, like I was just pulling it out of my ass. So I said, all right, how long you gotta be here? Give me 5 minutes, because now I walk around with business cards on me. So when I see an opportunity, I'm prepared.
So do I.
Oh, go ahead.
I also do the same thing. Whenever I'm on a set, or if I'm networking with people in lieu of entertainment, I'm always walking around with a business card. Because you never know who you might meet.
No, I agree with you. And so I said to the guy, give me 5 minutes. So something that should have taken about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes turned into like 15-20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I give you a perfect example. You know, I was standing there, I was looking around, I saw these actors sitting there. I'm like, okay, all I have to do is run back to the store, use the computer, and print out what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, half of that worked, half of that didn't. So the reason it took me longer is because I was using a broken keyboard at the job. I don't know, they were using all these crappy things. So what should have taken me like 5 minutes, write it up. You know, what my name, like the permission form I used on. You know, what I'm doing, name, subject, blah, blah, blah. So the time I got back there, everyone was pretty much gone. I went, shit, I missed them. But then I realized there were people underneath this tent thing in the area. I'm like, well, if I can't talk to the cast members, might as well talk to the people underneath the tent, like the producers. So I went over and I introduced myself and said, can I have a couple minutes of your time? They kind of looked at me sideways like, who's this guy? So I said, yeah, I'm an upcoming actor. Well, part of my things to do was, I'm an upcoming talk show host. I have a learning disability, and this is what I do. They looked at it, they're holding it, looked at me, looked at the paper, looked at me, and went. And as soon as I'm like, well, you can see my work, and like, okay, name some of the people. And I went down the whole list of almost 500 people. Professional wrestlers, actors,
wow,
cheerleaders, all these different people. I have interviewed a whole bunch of people from the SAG extra. You may know a couple. Trying to think off the top of my head without hurting myself. Barry Papick. I interviewed, let's see, Brett Edmond. I interviewed, trying to think, Kerrigan Mayhem.
Mm-hmm.
I interviewed, let's see, there are people from Mighty Morphin Power. I haven't talked to her in a long time, but she was on that ABC show, what was it? I think Revenge? Or, no, Resurrection. April Billingsley.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's people like that, and like, yes, I interview people from SAG extras, and I even said that to them. It's like, yeah, I'm not an actor, but I have interviewed people from SAG extra.
Ooh.
But, you know,
cool.
Like I said, actors, actresses, models, CEOs, professional wrestlers, people with learning disabilities, people without learning disabilities. So I'm pretty much showing you that I can interview everyone and everyone. Hell, I even gotten people from Fox News. Not currently on Fox News, but I interviewed a demo interview with Patricia Starks. She's occasionally on Fox. I interviewed, trying to think, Gardwin Nixon. He was formerly on Fox. I did a demo interview with someone from ESPN. Jarrett, I can't remember his last name, but we did a demo. So it's all these different things that I did. But I'm just showing you, hey, labels don't dictate who you are, who you're going to be. Especially you have a disability. But you can do reps around me because, look, you're an upcoming professional singer, you're a professional actor, you've been on TV, you've been on in these independent films, you're doing all these terrific things.
Yep.
So you're an inspiration for people out there. People say, oh, I'm an inspiration, but you're the one who's actually out there doing things. So you're more of an inspiration than I am.
Yeah.
Not kissing your ass or anything. I'm just telling you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, we're going to do a special short interview. I'm going to pass the show over to you. Was there anything you wanted to know, anything you wanted to talk about? This is your time, after all.
Okay. Well, the one thing I can say is when I was younger, because, with the autism, people weren't really accepting of it back then, I was picked on by mainly adults that didn't understand autism for what it is, because back then people thought autism as in Dustin Hoffman's character in Rain Man. But now today we have, Temple Grandin and The Good Doctor, Parenthood. Those are all accurately depicting autism. It's not savant syndrome, nothing like what we saw in Rain Man back in the 80s. And, like I said, I was discriminated against because of my autism. People weren't accepting of it back then. Just some people are not informed on something what autism is. I mean, I knew a lot of autistic people that had the inability to speak and just couldn't do the things I could do. Like I drive a car, I, go to school, and all that jazz. And I just say is, just because you're autistic or have another learning disability doesn't mean you can't do the things you can do. You can do well in school. You can get a really good job. Hell, I've even read that, autistic people are really successful and get really good jobs. They make a living.
Hey, going on a limb, I bet you're a better driver than most people, It's amazing, people say, oh, I have a BA, I have a bachelor's. But yet, for some reason, you can't drive a car. And it's kind of like, that doesn't even make any sense. It sounds like more ass backwards. It's kind of like, oh, I can do these terrific things, but I can't control a vehicle. So it's kind of like, that's why people say, oh, you can drive a car. It's like, because I know I'm going to mess up. So it's kind of like, never put yourself in a position where you're going to screw up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, just don't set yourself up for failure. And that's why, for me, right now I'm unemployed. But I purposely walk into a store, I walk around, I size it up. It's like, okay, I can do this. Because I used to be like, I use Indeed. I'm like, oh, they're hiring, and you click it, and you say, let's do the interview. And you walk in, and it's like smacks you right in the face, saying, what did I just accept? Why am I interviewing? I'll give you an example of what I mean recently. I went to a kid's store, because I used to work for Toys R Us, and unfortunately, and for people who want to know, these interviews are now out of order, because I'm now doing patch up work. But I used to work for Toys R Us, they went out of business.
Of course, I know that.
No, absolutely, and it's out of their stupidity why they went out, long other things. And I was there, and I gave myself a panic attack. Just doing the interviews is therapy for myself.
Wow.
I work on my people skills, it helps me make new friends, and it helps me interact on my social skills. So when I walk out to someone, and I see someone, I walk up to them because it gives me a reason to approach them. But going back to the store, why I turned it down is I was walking around and looked easy enough. It's kind of like I use your room for an example. Behind you, it's boys. To the right, or left, or whatever it is. Girls are over here and kids are over here. I'm like, okay, easy enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was thinking about some of the questions they would ask me. Why you want to work here? And I was thinking, I don't have a good enough answer for you. I can't say I'm unemployed. Give me the money. I need a job.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like I was thinking, why do I want to work in a kid's store? It's not what I want to be doing. It's kind of like I'm setting myself up for failure. Like I worked for Saks. I set myself up. I worked for Home Goods. I set myself up. I went to Under Armour. And that's a different story, but the point is, I don't want to go to a job and walk into something with my eyes closed and wish for the very best. Because I have a bad history of screwing up, and my family can tell you about it. I always walk into something without knowing the facts, and it always backfires. So it's kind of like I walk into a store, I scout it out, I'm like, okay, if it has a good environment, I can do it. If it's something like fast-paced, it's not going to be for me because I have ADD.
Oh, my sister has ADD.
Well, it's always good to know what you're doing, so it helps you with that. Mm-hmm. But the point is I'm trying to make is it's always good, and especially for you, for your acting and singing career, is you go in, you scout the area, you get the vibe for what you're doing. You say, okay, I can do this, without saying, okay, I don't care what happens, let's go into it, and you let the shit hit the fans. Theoretically.
Yeah. I have a friend that's like that. They're like, I don't care if I get this job or not. If I get it, great, but if not, life goes on. I mean, some people, I don't know why. They don't care about the industry they're in. You have to care about this industry. Even my acting teacher, Brian Cutler, says you gotta love this industry. You gotta eat, sleep, and drink it. If you don't like it, go work as a bartender. Go work as a barista at Starbucks. Whatever. You need to take this acting thing seriously. Hell, this friend of mine is in SAG-AFTRA, and he doesn't give two shits, sorry for my language, about the union. I mean, why do acting if you're not gonna take it seriously? No. If you want to make it like Robert De Niro or Meryl Streep, take it seriously.
And that's a perfect point about my talk show. A lot of people think I do this for, and they know it's uncensored freedom of speech to self-expression. A lot of people think I do it for shits and giggles. It's like, I want to do this until I die. And I mean, I swear to God on my life, I want to do this until I die because I'm very passionate about it. And a lot of people will, thumb their nose down on me. It's like, oh, you're manipulating people, you're conning people. Go work in ShopRite. Go work over here. I'm like, if that's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I've been doing this for almost 5 years. And
Good
this
for
is
you.
what I want to do. And either you're going to support me, or, hey, go make friends with the door over there.
I agree.
No, I agree. About wrapping up, I'm going to pass the show over to you with the last two questions. And the first one is, are you on social media?
I am.
Are you on LinkedIn, Twitter, Stage 32? Are you on any of those?
I'm on all of those. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Stage 32, the basic ones.
And what are the more advanced ones? Because you said those are the basic ones. What are the more advanced?
I would say the most advanced one is Stage 32 because, you need to post jobs on there. You need to have a good profile with your career because that's what it's about. They call it the Facebook of the entertainment business.
That's true. For an example, I used to use States 32, and I got people from there on the show, but I just use it for networking. But the more I think about it, if I use it, if you actually take it more professionally, who knows what will open up for you.
Yeah, I mean, I connected with this guy who is a sci-fi actor through LinkedIn, and he's kind of like how Doug Jones is, but the more amateur Doug Jones. Doug Jones, he was in The Shape of Water, which won an Academy Award recently.
No, I didn't know about that.
Now, wonderful movie.
Is it a terrible movie, or was it a great movie?
Wonderful.
Now, my last question for you, wrapping up, and I do have a couple questions for you off the air. It's when I first approached you, I know this is the second time we're doing the interview, because the first one was cutting in, cutting out.
Technical difficulties, yeah.
So, don't mind me, I haven't done my interviews as a way, because I've been focused. Long story short, I had YouTube. YouTube took my count down for whatever stupid reason. So I've been uploading all my episodes to Facebook, into my Facebook fan page. So I haven't been doing my interviews, so I've been really rusty at it. So apparently, when I'm more rusty, you can see my disability more. I try to hide that. But when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your first reaction? And after being a guest on my show, how do you feel now?
The first time when you approached me to be interviewed on your show, I was like, wow, that's really cool. So I can talk more about, my autism. So people could know this is not what you think it is. You treat people with respect, and autistic people are just like any other people. We are all human, no matter what.
No, absolutely. And what made you say yes? And would you recommend it?
What made me say yes to this interview, because I wanted to talk more in depth about my autism and just letting people know you're not alone.
No, absolutely. And would you recommend it for people? Would it give me a chance?
I would absolutely recommend this to people.
No, absolutely. Hey, I always look for people with disabilities, without disabilities, but I'm pretty much making myself into an example. As my catchphrase says, labels don't dictate who you are and who you're going to be.
Absolutely not.
And you should prove to them you can still amount to something. Now, I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but wrapping up, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road.
Okay, thank you so much, Keith. You have a great day.
Arlene Schofield.
My name is Shireen Snow.
My name is Carla A. Miles.
Diana Caputo.
This is Christine Dunford.
I'm me, Eden.
Caroline Macy. This is Walker Fannin.
Maria Camille Dixon.
I'm Miss Dates Warden.
My name is Linda Presson, and you're watching the Keith Andrew Network.
It's Russo.
Me, Mark Medley.
Hi everybody, this is Mark Neely.
Barry Papick.
This is Peter Bruno.
My name is Kyle Collier.
This is Julio Santiago, better known as Dynamite.
I'm Richard Epcar.
Orange Chow.
This is Kerrigan Mahan.
This is Goldner.
And we both support
Keith Andrew.
My name is Ron Wasserman, and I am supporting Keith Andrew on what he is doing, and you better do the same, or I'm gonna come kick your ass.